Hi, I'm Chris Vavra, I'm the Web Content Manager for CFE Media and Technology, and welcome to this installment of the Expert Interview Series for Control Engineering. Manufacturing as a whole has gone through some ups and downs the last few years, as many different industries are working to find a new normal in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. While times are tough now, there is a light ahead at the end of the tunnel. However, the story for each industry is a little different, and there are unique dynamics and situations for each. For example, the low voltage AC drive market has made a recent shift towards compact, multi-axis integrated solutions. Why is this happening, though, and what does this mean for this industry's future and other industries that depend on this technology? Well, to answer that and other questions related to this, we welcome back Brianna Jackson, a research analyst for Interact Analysis, a CFE Media and Technology content partner. Jackson provided some insight last year on the mobile robot component market trends and ultra-low voltage motors. Links for both interviews will be available below. Welcome, Brianna, and thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me on, Chris.
Yeah. So, you had done this research report on the low voltage AC motor drive market, and you had indicated that it's shifting towards compact and integrated solutions. And I guess my question is twofold. What impact is consumer demand having on this, and are you seeing it represented in other motor drive markets?
Yes, so in short, the answer is absolutely. So this is a topic that has come up repeatedly in our research, and I'm glad that you referenced some of the work that we did on ultra low voltage motors last year. So a trend that's been impacting the manufacturing industry as a whole is the shift towards modular manufacturing and machinery that has a smaller footprint in whatever space it's occupying. Um, And this is primarily driven by underlying demand in warehouse automation and end-of-line manufacturing. So in the study that we conducted last year, as I've told you before, this demand for more modular and flexible machinery is driving growth in the market for what we refer to as ultra-low voltage drives that control those ultra-low voltage motors that we had talked about. And basically, that's just any drive or motor that is under 60 volts by our definition. And then in addition to this, EC motors or electronically commutated motors are starting to come in as well, and they are displacing revenues from traditional AC drives. So it's kind of like a substitution outside of the market. If we're talking about technologies that are outside of the AC motor drive market that are also being impacted by this trend.
So with the drive towards, more integration in smaller spaces while still getting the same value as they did before, how are manufacturers sort of coping with this increased demand they're getting from their consumers?
They're definitely coming out with more specialized products. So, for an example, within the traditional low voltage AC drives that we cover, there's two decentralized product forms. One we call decentralized drives, which are kind of those like wide, flat drives that are great for like heat dissipation, as well as like motor mounted drives that you just that are just like popped on top of a motor. Those are two solutions that are installed like close to a motor or like on top of the motor. And we see a lot more competitors entering that market for those two product types. Historically, those have been rather consolidated markets where you've had drives vendors that were definitely like specialized in providing solutions to like warehouse automation that really dominated those spaces. But we're seeing more and more players enter that consolidated market and kind of shake it up. Like a really good example of this was Rockwell's entrance into the decentralized drives market. Whenever they entered the market with the Armor PowerFlex a couple of years ago, they really were able to tap into demand from consumers all throughout markets that, or sorry, not markets, but applications that
Mhm.
use conveyors heavily. And so they were definitely able to tap into that market and take up significant share in the decentralized space. You also have other companies like, for example, like Delta Electronics and Bonfiglioli that have also released recent offerings in the motor mounted space. So we're definitely looking at probably a shift in that competitive landscape that was once kind of dominated by like these early adopters, and they've made
Mhm.
the case for a lot of other vendors that this is a worthwhile product form to pursue. And then in addition to these like more traditional form factors, we're definitely seeing the increasing use of wide bandgap semiconductors that will further enable the integration of drives within motors to kind of make them as one package. And we expect the adoption of wideband semiconductors to allow power semis to get to the point where you can significantly like shrink the motor and drive package uh, to further cut down on space and increase space savings.
Yeah, to your point about, companies kind of getting into this market, from what I've seen the last couple of years, what some of these manufacturers are doing is they're taking their base knowledge and sort of expanding it into new ways and new markets that might not have been available to them while still maintaining and retaining their core knowledge and competencies, but they're just finding new ways to stretch their ability to reach other markets because, you know, I think what's happened, and I don't know if you've seen this as well, but companies are trying to be that one size fits all solution, or they're trying to be, something for everybody, regardless of what their needs are.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been an interesting dynamic in that respect the last couple of years, especially since the trade shows have kind of come back on in 2022. That's definitely something I've been keeping an eye on, and it's been an interesting dynamic. But with this, with these new players in the market, are you expecting mergers and acquisitions for some of the larger companies to play a role in this market's development? Specifically, are companies going to be looking for specialists who do specialize in a particular technology or concept to try and strengthen and bolster their market share?
I think that's where the market will trend toward. So if you look at the AC motor market, for example, that is way more consolidated than the market for AC motor drives. I think
Mhm.
that the market for AC motor drives will follow a very similar arc to the motor market. I definitely think that we will observe an uptick in mergers and acquisition activity. There's been some over the past years. The most recent that that comes to mind is whenever WEG purchased Gefrin's motion control division that included their
Mhm.
AC drive offerings. I definitely think there will be more activity like that, and I think that the market will likely become much more consolidated over the next 10 years. I think that specialists are definitely well positioned to take market share, specifically those specialists that are kind of moving towards providing more integrated solutions. So a good example of this is the Rockwell partnering with Infinitum. Infinitum is a high efficiency motor company based like right north of us here in Austin and up in Round
Mhm.
Rock. So they are partnering to develop a high efficiency motor drive package that is that will significantly increase space savings in a manufacturer's footprint for whatever machine that motor and drive need to control. Um, and also, there was this breaking news of Siemens
Mhm.
acquiring EBM Pabst yesterday. And EBM
Right.
Pabst is, whenever we talked about the ultra low voltage motor market, they are a big player within that market. So I definitely think we're already seeing these big motor drive companies kind of choose their designated specialties.
You talked about wide bandgap semiconductors a few minutes ago, and they're playing a major role in this market. However, the cost-effective issue is still a I'm going to start over on that one. Wide bandgap semiconductors, you talked about that a few minutes ago. The problem is, while they have a major impact, they're not quite cost effective yet. Has there been any progress made on getting them there, and how long do you think that's going to take?
Yes, so for wide bandgap semiconductors, let it be said that there's already drive manufacturers that are releasing products that feature wide bandgap semis up for commercial use. So that's already there's already players in the market offering these, whether they're like a small startup or like a smart D, for instance, or larger manufacturers that are kind of testing out prototypes. They're already kind of looking towards it. The issue
Mhm.
with wide bandgap semis is the scalability of production is remains an obstacle. Um, However, the proliferation of EVs and the increased demand for wide bandgap semis from that sector will ultimately benefit the drives market by driving down the cost. And when you think about it, like historically, the automotive industry has always been like an early adopter of technologies and always like uh, other other industries have been able to benefit
Mhm.
from the automotive industry's innovations. And so I think as the market for EVs develop and they reach like a high growth stage,
Mhm.
I definitely think that we will definitely see the economic case make sense to more vendors, and that will become a more widely used product. And I would say with the way that EVs are being adopted and with like new regulations put forth by the Environmental Protection Agency, I definitely think that like the critical point could be within the next 10 years.
Mhm. Yeah, it makes sense with automotive because on top of being innovators, they have the scale to really and the money to go out and really, make it, if it's not cost effective, at least, they're able to put it to good use without having to worry too much about the bottom line because there are other mitigating factors that will offset. Um, but that was like the big trend you had discussed in your report. But what are there some other trends affecting the low voltage AC motor drive market in the next couple years? What can we expect to see?
Yes, so outside of some of those technological shifts, excuse me, that we've discussed here, we're also observing a really strong demand for low cost, low power cabinet mounted drives as multiple players are actively pursuing this product type to appeal to, well, one, it's to appeal to customer bases in rapidly industrializing countries such as India, regions in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, but it's also to remain competitive with a lot of Chinese vendors that have done really well in their domestic market and are looking to expand into Europe. So it's kind of a play to remain competitive with these new entrants within the European market. You kind of see that with, like, for example, Nidec's launch of the Commander S series. That definitely seems to be a strategy and they're not alone in looking to this market, but it's definitely seems to be a play to remain cost competitive. And I think after like all these supply chain shocks that the market has undergone since COVID, I definitely think that cost competitiveness is back in play among drives vendors.
Yeah, definitely, got to maintain your localization if nothing else, and make sure that you have that bit covered as you're going out into the great wide world, especially with some of these emerging economies, especially I think in APAC, it sounds like that's where it's going to be. So, well, thank you so much, Brianna, for joining me today and discussing some of these trends. I really appreciate you taking the time to discuss this uh, emerging market. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of major shifts and moves in the next few years, as we've already seen with some of the recent acquisitions that have happened. So, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me on again.
My pleasure. And if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel Control Eng TV. And be sure to check out other interviews in the Expert Interview series, which has discussions with thought leaders from other partners and other manufacturers in the industry. And I'm Chris Vavra, Web Content Manager, CFE Media and Technology. Thank you for watching today's video.